days than this. Words trip like untied shoelaces. Still you're worth falling down for once in a while. And I'm disinclined to admit, with you and I, this could be it. And something's telling me we'll know before too long.
Are you really going out there on your own? These tangled lines all come undone. How did it feel when you let go? You try your luck in your best suit, tied to a broken parachute. It's the hole in my heart you fell through. Tried reading tea leaves and the stars in all the days we were apart. Maybe my mind wasn't made up, but I chose love. Still I'm inclined to admit, with you and I, this might be it. These failed predictions kept us wondering all the time.
For tonight's omakase, our first trio was a Kumamoto oyster, an ankamo wrapped in ngawa, and a hamache zunazuri. On the very, very top, that is the Kumamoto oyster, of course, and that one is a very mild West Coast, creamy, buttery oyster, but it is one of the milder ones, so palatable. So even if you're not a West Coast oyster lover, you'll still very much enjoy this one. On the lower left is where you will find the ankamo wrapped in ngawa. This one was one of my favorites. When you have ngawa or when you have a ankamo, it is often very strong. Ankamo is a monkfish liver. It's often very strong for a lot of folks that aren't used to having livers and internal organs and things like that. But for this one, because it's wrapped in the ngawa, which is a fluke fin, as well as the shiso, which is like a minty-ish thing, but a very, very mild mint, a Japanese mint, and then topped with the radish that is very nice and light. So overall, it ends up being just very light and bright and very, very flavorful. And then on the bottom right, you'll have your hamachi zunazuri, and what that is a young yellowtail topped with a jalapeno sauce. It kind of looks like a burri. I actually thought it was a burri, but I was told it was a zunazuri, and it actually tasted like a zunazuri, so I'm guessing it's probably just a little bit darker because of the soy that it was, I wouldn't say marinated, but at least, for a few seconds in, probably. For the next small plate, we were served with the ize ebi, which is the lobster, the aji, which is the Japanese mackerel, and the katsuodai, which is a baby sea bream. The whole fish, what Blue Ribbon does is that they actually then take all those servings and they split it out into two different plates so that you kind of get the same amount. Even though they're full servings of everything, you get the same amount shared between two different people. So you don't kind of have to reach over each other's plate, which is quite nice. And you have a little bit of everything just right in front of you. The katsuodai, which I very much do enjoy, but I probably prefer that more as a sushi as opposed to a sashimi. And then the aji, and this is probably, I'm very partial to this because I think that I love ajis, probably more because of the whole fish tail that they give you and then they deep fry for you, because I don't know, who doesn't like fried foods? But the aji itself, it's a lot. You see that entire aji tail, that's a lot of fish meat for one plate, one serving, and then you get full really fast. But the presentation's great, the serving is great because it is for two people and just easy. Next, the sashimi platter. This one is probably one of my less favored servings, only because it's a lot of fish. And again, it's, if you've looked at what we've received thus far, it's already a lot of fish for one seating, so you end up getting full really quick. But what this one is if and when chef has a decent fresh live uni, he'll always give it to us, which is great. And then he'll also give us usually an akami, a chutoro or otoro, some sort of a salmon, and then my favorite, which is that little sandwich on the right, and that is basically a hotate, which is a scallop uni sandwich wrapped in shiso and deep fried. And the amazing part about that little sandwich is that it is all deep fried, but it's still raw. It's really very, very tasty. And you have they top it with a little bit of caviar on this time. They don't always, but it's always just fantastic. And that's something that I really don't get anywhere else. It takes a bit of work because you have to go and get all this stuff and then deep fry it. So I don't know. I have a lot of respect for it. All right, so both of these unis that we were served tonight were both from Maine. And you see that the texture obviously do vary widely. Maine usually tends to look a little bit darker, a little duller. It's usually just not that really vibrant, bright, and deep, rich, yellowish, orange-ish color that comes with a lot of the Hokkaido unis that you tend to really, really enjoy. The Hokkaido unis tend to be a lot more rich, a lot nuttier, a lot more depth, but the Maine uni tends to be, in my opinion, a bit more watery, and just a lot more surface. Next, we also have the kimidai. Kimidais are a golden eye snapper, which to me is usually one of my favorites. It's also one of the top white fishes from Japan. The reason why it's so popular is because it's super rich, super fatty, and often as sushi or sashimi, it's often still served with the skin torched. And that in torch in Japanese is called a buri, which is basically having your kimidai with the skin torched, which ends up yielding the fish a lot more tender. It breaks down the fat and it leaks the fat into the fish itself, and it just renders a whole different flavor and texture than if you were to have it without it buried. Okay, so now we finally start the sushi. First one we received was the ingawa. Love the ingawa because it's one of those fishes that if you take as a sushi, it's very different when it's served as a sashimi versus a sushi. Tonight we had it served as a sashimi along with the ankama, which was fantastic. But if you have that same exact ingawa now served to you as a sushi, it's so different. For our next sushi serving, we were served a nodogoro. A nodogoro is a very light fish. It's called a blackthroat. For some reason in New York City, nodogoros tend to be very expensive. And when I say nodogoros being expensive, that is pretty much everywhere you go. When you end up having, after your makase, you can order individual pieces, and that's when you know what they actually charge you per piece, because they always kind of charge you one blended rate for your entire makase, so you don't ever really know what does each piece cost until towards the end, or unless you're ordering a la carte. Nodogoros tend to be around somewhere anywhere between, say, lowest I've ever seen, $13 for one piece, most expensive $18, which is pricey. A lot of the other fishes you'll see, or that they'll put on the menu for you, or that you end up getting charged for, usually run around the $7 to $10 area. Short of going from, whenever you get your unis and your toros, you expect to pay more, but white fishes, that is kind of a bit high. When you get your kimidais, those are usually a bit cheaper. Your harame, your ingawas, your akamutsus, all those other things, all those other cuts, all those other types of fishes, varieties of fishes tend to be a bit cheaper. Nodogoros are a bit pricier in New York, at least. Everywhere you go, it's funky. Everywhere you go, they charge you kind of something different based on kind of fish. It was served to us with yuzu zest. Yuzu is not lime. Yuzu is a citrus from Japan, a milder citrus from Japan. It's very different from our limes. It's very different from our lemons. It's just a different citrus, but it's light and it's super bright. It kind of just yields a very different flavor. It's fantastic. So it was served to us with yuzu zest and some sea salt. It was fantastic. Okay, next we were served a sumathi katsuo. It's a type of bonito. Katsuos are all bonitos. This particular bonito was very, 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 very good. It was a little bit on the milder side. Katsuos tend to be very strong. This particular one was milder, so it was very, very good. And I love the Japanese onion. And again, for some reason, I think they find these garnishes in Japan that are just a bit milder than ours. Whenever you get an onion in the US, we have all these like scallions, we have chives, we have various kinds of onions that are very, very pungent, and you get a whiff and you're like, wow. But this one is very mild. You can have it with things and it doesn't completely overpower the fish. It just really adds to it. It brings the onion kind of, I guess, scales down some of the fishiness. So it's very, very good. Next, we had the sayori. Sayori is a needlefish. It kind of looks kind of ugly, but it was very good. Sayoris are very clear fish. It's still a silver. It's a very clear fish, but it has the very silver skin, and it was very, very good. You taste it, it's very clean, it's very crisp. It didn't taste at all. You have that little bit of a crunch. It didn't taste anything mushy, because a lot of times when you see a very opaque fish that's supposed to be clear, you kind of wonder hey, is it fresh? But this one was very good. And then the next bite with the ginger and the soy, it just really brought it out a lot more. So it was very, very good overall. Next, we had the otoro aburade. Otoro is a super fatty tuna. When you go for fish, you usually get your toro, which is like kind of an unknown grade of fattiness. Then you have your chutoro, which is your medium fatty fish, medium fatty tuna, or any other kind of fish actually. And your otoro, which is your super fatty tuna. Hokkaido uni, look how wonderful this is. This one is really, really pretty. So now take this picture and compare it to the main uni pictures, and you see the color difference. Hokkaido unis are I don't really understand why fishes taste different just from a different location, but for whatever reason, Hokkaido unis have a very specific nuttiness to it. It's got a very creamy, nutty flavor that you cannot find in other unis. I love my Santa Barbaras, I really do. But for whatever reason, the Hokkaido uni has a very different nut flavor that when you have it, you're savoring it in your mouth for the next 5 minutes. You really do just have that wonderful lingering taste that you don't forget it. So fantastic serving of Hokkaido uni. And then the very, very, very pretty Santa Barbara uni. So everything I said about the Hokkaido uni being really, really nutty and really sweet, for whatever reason tonight the Santa Barbara was equally as sweet, maybe even a little nuttier, and just overall fuller in the body. Again, that just whole richness that you taste in your mouth, what you end up lingering, the flavors that lingers in your mouth after. For whatever reason, this one kind of kicked the Hokkaido uni's booty tonight. So tonight, Santa Barbara wins. Okay, moving on, Muirgai. It's a very crunchy fish. So Muirgai, just think of the little neck, but a whole lot bigger. It's called a giant clam, but it's also called a geoduck in a lot of places. Muirgais are very, very, very good. It's very sweet, very crunchy. but it was fantastic. I hope you enjoyed my review. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to me at my website, sushigirl.nyc. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the button below. Until next time, chat soon.